Welcome to VibeSense. Today, we're going to jump right in and break down exactly how a wild rumor about a president's death could go viral in just a few hours. It's a pretty fascinating look at how information and, well, misinformation really moves in this day and age. So, on August 30th, 2025, this hashtag just completely exploded. It was everywhere, reaching millions of people in what felt like minutes. But as you probably guessed, the story behind it was not quite what it seemed. It was really a perfect storm of speculation, some fake evidence, and algorithms doing what they do best. The thing is, this rumor didn't just pop up out of thin air. The seeds were actually planted weeks before, with some media reports noticing the president's health. Then he was out of the public eye for a bit, which, got people talking online. The real fire started on August 30th, though, thanks to a vague comment and a whole bunch of fake pictures. All of this happened before the mainstream news confirmed he was just fine, literally hours later. The whole thing was just a whirlwind. So the big question is, how did a story this huge and this completely false get so much traction so fast? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this mix of ingredients that created a really potent and very viral cocktail of misinformation. The most effective hoaxes? They almost always start with a tiny grain of truth. In this case, that grain of truth was the White House actually acknowledging that the president had a real but totally manageable medical condition to explain the bruising people were seeing. And that little bit of reality gave the rumors a foundation to build on. And this right here points to a really key psychological piece of the puzzle. While the symptoms themselves weren't life-threatening, they created a powerful visual. This perception of frailty set the emotional stage, really. It made people much more likely to believe a worst-case scenario. Which brings us to what you could call a classic recipe for making a lie go viral. First, you start with a real health story. Step 2, you add in a confusing catalyst. In this situation, it was a comment from the vice president about a terrible tragedy, which was totally stripped of its original context. And for step 3, you sprinkle in the fake proof, doctored news headlines and old memes that were passed off as current evidence. Of course, none of this would have gotten so big, so fast, without the social media engine acting as a massive accelerant. The way these platforms are designed, with their focus on super shareable clips, trending hashtags, and powerful algorithms, it just pushed the hoax into millions of feeds before the fact-checkers even had a chance to lace up their boots. Okay, so with this rumor just spreading like an absolute wildfire, how was it actually put out? Let's take a look at what was true versus what was completely made up. The fact-checking actually happened pretty quickly, and it all came down to some good old-fashioned reporting. And here, you can really see the massive difference between the claims that were going viral and the actual reality on the ground. On one side, you've got these huge, dramatic claims flying all over social media. And on the other side, simple, verifiable facts. Reporters saw him golfing, and maybe most importantly, there was zero official word from anyone credible. And honestly, that's the crucial point. For an event of this magnitude, the death of a sitting U.S. president, the total lack of an immediate official statement from the White House or major news agencies was the single biggest piece of evidence that the story was bogus. In a crisis like this, silence from the official channels is, it's deafeningly informative. All right, now that we've kind of taken this whole hoax apart piece by piece, let's turn it into a practical playbook that you can actually use to protect yourself from this kind of stuff in the future. These simple steps are honestly the most powerful tools we have. And the most important one is right at the top. Just pause. Seriously. That little moment of hesitation before you hit the share button is your best defense. It gives you just enough time to check other sources and actually verify what you're looking at. At the end of the day, this whole episode is just a really powerful reminder of how easily reality can get twisted online. It shows us that when you take one small, real fact, mix it with some emotional fake images, and then let an algorithm amplify it, the truth often can't keep up with how fast the lie spreads. And that really leaves us with a pretty critical question, doesn't it? It's something worth thinking about long after this is over, because the next viral hoax isn't really a matter of if, but when. Thanks for watching VibeSense.